Heather Day has run her own coaching and training business, Heather Day Coaching, for 11 years, and she's a specialist in work and life transitions. More recently, she created a new coaching program for women over 50s and beyond. Heather is a logosynthesis trainer and master practitioner, and she's based in the UK. Using logosynthesis enables her clients to resolve and clear past patterns and limitations. This accelerates their paths of personal development and growth. And we are very happy to welcome Heather. She will show us how we can work with beliefs. So the floor is yours, Heather.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Alan, for introducing me. That's wonderful, and it's great to be here on this day with so many amazing speakers and presentations. So I'm going to share a little slice today around working with limiting beliefs, and starting off with the fact that as a coach and as New Year, as Claire was saying in the last demo, we would start off with like, oh, goal setting. So where do I want to be? Who do I want to, be this year? What's my goals? And as a coach, I'll say, okay, so do you have the resources that you need? Do you have the right environment? Do you have the values that match that goal? And the clients will say, yes, yeah. And then we get to, okay, so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? And this is where all those limiting beliefs, all those sabotaging thoughts that come up for us happen. And they'll say, oh yeah, I'm not sure if I can do this. I feel, am I good enough to do this? Am I worthy? And you can imagine me planning this demonstration as well today on limiting beliefs. All of my own limiting beliefs about needing to be perfect came up. And so, I decided that I'm good enough, and I will offer in the spirit of this to be a good enough trainer and guide here today. So yeah, these beliefs creep up on us, and they, so I just wanted to do a quick screen share. I've just got a couple of slides just to focus us in. So I should be able to share my screen. Here we go. So in this presentation, I'm just going to go from the start. Yeah, so in this presentation, I'm going to start off with a little bit of an intro, and thinking about beliefs. I'm going to get us to think a little bit about beliefs, and then I've got a demonstration with Regina, who's kindly offered to work with me today. So we've got a little bit of both. So let's just think about beliefs for a moment. And here's a couple of definitions that, so if you just take a read. So they're often things that we take on as absolute truth, statements that we use to navigate our lives. And so we might have some beliefs that are very supportive of our mission, and that's great. We might have some really creative, well developed beliefs about that are affirmative of our path. But those other ones that creep in when we want to make movement forward, those are the ones that may be a bit rigid and stuck. So what happens when we have a set of limiting beliefs? Well, they're quite useful to us if we want to stay safe and protected and secure. So they do have a purpose, but they can also keep us stuck in kind of negativity. So you might notice that you've got feelings of guilt or shame or fear when you're thinking about moving forward and making some kind of goal that you want to achieve. So these emotions can start coming up. And what we know about the limiting beliefs is that they're not relating to the present moment. It come into our lives earlier on, and so what they will do is they will just start to distort and block our actual current thinking. And what I've noticed in work with clients is they can create this kind of upper limit. So they are actually going to prevent us from moving forward and achieving our potential. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute. So these beliefs can come in early on, and those kind of very fixed beliefs about life, they will often come in between the ages of, say, 3 and 6, when we are really young children and we haven't got that cognitive processing, and we need our caretakers to look after us. We're very dependent on them, and then we will take on what parents say, and they'll take it on as if it's our truth, as if it's this is how it is. And then we use those beliefs to assess how we are and to how we assess our value also. And thank you for the message. I've just had a message to say speak more slowly, so I will do that, because I know that quite a lot of participants are watching in their second language. So thank you for that. So we will take these on without being able to process them. And sometimes those beliefs make us feel that we're not okay, we're not good enough compared to others. And so they can stay there for a very long time. And it's only when we're trying to move forward in our lives and change things that they sometimes emerge. So that is something to bear in mind. I was also going to share a couple of examples really of how limiting beliefs can come in from my work with clients. So before I start with a demonstration shortly, so a couple of client examples. So I have one client I've been working with for a while, and she came to me in the new year and she said, as soon as I have money, I have to spend it. And she said, I have to spend it on myself. I have this compulsion. So it's like as soon as the money comes in, I want to spend it. And when we explored that, there were some feelings about, not feeling valuable. She realized logically that she had enough clothes, she had enough things in her wardrobe, but she had this need to want to buy something else. So there was a belief emerging that somehow she wasn't valuable. And then as we talked some more, as you saw in Astra's demonstration so beautifully, how things unfold, it went back to an earlier memory. It went back to something that she felt as a child, that she wasn't wanted, she wasn't, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes for a second. She felt undesired, she felt undesired and unwanted, because she had a younger sibling who was a blue-eyed boy taking all her parents' attention. And so there was this general feeling of not being wanted. And when I asked her about the truth of that belief, it was a high, it was around an 8 or a 9. And what happened with this belief was she saw the words, I'm undesired, undesirable, in a stick of rock. And in the UK, we have, if you go to the seaside, you can buy a stick of rock with the words of the seaside town, like Brighton, going all the way through. So what's interesting is when we come across beliefs is that we will see them written down, or we might hear them. And so she's seeing these words going through this stick of rock. And sometimes we come to a belief as a conclusion about something that might happen. So if all the attention is going to our sibling, then we feel, I'm not worthy, or we come to a conclusion about life and about our family and about ourselves, which may not be true and isn't true, but we will take that on. And so we use the sentences and with this belief, and she felt so much lighter at the end, and said the words just disappeared. So that's one way of sharing how beliefs can be kind of almost embedded, coming through us like words that we see. And another recent example with a client was around feeling like he had to work hard, but feeling overwhelmed by what he had to do. And when we explored it further again, he actually saw his family and his ancestors around him. So there's something linked to this belief that he needed to work hard that brought up the ancestors and his family. So often our family and our belief systems can come from a wider field, not just our parents necessarily. And what he shared with me, that his father had to go and work in a coal mine when he was 14. And what emerged in another layer of the work, that his father's words, he heard his father's voice saying, don't be a slave like me. So often we have these sayings that our parents or our fathers say, parents say at home about work or about achievement. So we were able to use the sentences with these words, don't be a slave like me. And at the beginning, the client had a lot of heaviness and like a lead weight in his stomach. And that just dissipated, and the words just dissipated. So when we checked in, he didn't feel overwhelmed by work. The guilt that he'd had disappeared. So there's just two very short examples of how limiting beliefs can appear in work, when I work with clients and for us. And so often we might hear somebody saying those words, we might have them embedded. So I'm just curious, I'm just going to share my screen again and fast forward a couple of slides, because I knew I was going to get a little bit, so we talked about when they develop from those formative years. So those expressions like don't be a slave like me. So I wonder what your parents thought or said about work or achievement. So maybe you want to take just a minute to write that down. And if you want to share anything in the chat, you can also do that. Oops, sorry, I'm going to stop my share now. So all of these things that come in to stop us from achieving perhaps in work. There may be some gender beliefs that maybe we can't do certain jobs or we can't do certain roles. So I'd be curious for you to think about, what is it that you heard your parents say that was so strong? Okay, Alan's sharing. My father used to say, do you want to unmute yourself, Alan? Because I can't read the chat as well. So just to say that, do you want to share that?
Yeah, my father used to say work is hard to find and hard to endure. Yes,
yeah, absolutely. So those beliefs can kind of stick into, work first, fun stuff later. Yeah, thank you, Olga. Yeah, great. So it's amazing how all of these things just, we can bring them into our awareness. We don't have to think too hard or work too hard to get these beliefs in our family system coming forward. So that's great. Higher education, not for us. Yeah, there might be a limit. So that's the kind of upper limit I talked about, that we may have a limit in our own education. And so, yeah, so I'm reading some of the things there. So that's fascinating. Beggars can't be choosers. Thank you, Carolina. Yeah. So lots of different beliefs. So there's just to say, Willem Lammers will, in his State of the Art, he will be introducing his new book. I'll just say here, Alone to Alive, which I've just finished reading. So it's all about working with beliefs, and he will do an exercise with you as a group, I think, later. So now I'm going to introduce my person who's going to help me with the demo. So I have Regina, who's kindly volunteered, and Regina and I haven't met each other before the run through last Friday. So Regina actually volunteered to work with me, so that's really great, and thank you for your trust and confidence, Regina. And so if we could bring in Regina, I'm going to ask her to introduce herself first. So welcome, Regina. And
thank you, Heather.
Before we start working together, would you like to just introduce yourself to the audience? Yeah, and just say a little bit so we get to know you.
Okay, just really briefly. So my name is Regina. I'm Swiss and German. So I never gave back my German passport. I'm 57, living in Switzerland, living and working in Switzerland. And I think what is really important to know about me is, for 30 years, almost 30 years, I was employed, and I worked in various leadership positions, increasing responsibility, the normal career in industry. And I knew it wasn't really my dream. My dream was to be self-employed. And it took almost this long time to be brave enough to take this decision. And last year I founded 2 years ago, I founded my company, and since last year, I'm self-employed and run my own company, being a coach for executive coaching and leadership coaching.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. So Yeah, 30 years of being employed. I also had a similar experience that I worked in education for a long time. So there is this huge shift when I became a coach in my 40s, huge shift from moving from being employed to self-employed. And that's great to hear your story. And so today, yeah, in the service of kind of offering something and how we might work with limiting beliefs with logosynthesis, what would you yeah, what's your issue? What would you like to explore?
What I first had to work on was something like I'm alone. I think that was the biggest fear I had when it came to being self-employed. Oh, I'm all alone. And being an only child, this was a long experience of being alone. And I did a lot of logosynthesis on that.
Yes.
And I think now in this year, it's more to really actively go out. I had a successful first year. A lot of clients came to me. And now I'm at the point to be more proactively go out. And again, some old beliefs come up. So first of all, there are so many coaches. What special do I have to offer? It's one.
Yeah.
And I think even more problematic for me is it's not proper to stand out. That's something I heard a lot in my family, even my grandmother. It's not proper. We don't do that. We are modest.
So be modest. Yeah.
Be modest. She even had a saying, pride and stupidity grow on one wood. So in the neighborhood, we don't do that.
So we don't do that.
And some days it's easy.
Yeah.
For me, I can connect with what I want to do. And others, it's like a nightmare. Oh, I can't do that. Be a show off.
Yes. Yeah. So what would it be like if you were actually wanting to actively go out and be proactive? So if you didn't have these limiting beliefs coming up, so what would it look like for you to be actively going out into the world with your work?
It's especially painful when it's not in person. Before Corona, I did a lot of presentation and workshops and volunteered for whatever sessions and presentation. That was much easier. But now this anonymous reach out to people you don't see, you are not really connected to, that's a completely different story, it seems.
So something's changed, if I'm hearing you right. Something's changed between maybe the first year where it seems you were working more face-to-face with people and that you were getting the work, and now something about the anonymity of working on a screen in the way that we are today is something that you're finding more difficult. Yeah.
I think it's more the posting. It's not the working together in an online session. It's more this posting in LinkedIn, in Facebook, and posting videos, and not knowing who's going to be my counterpart, not knowing who will watch this. That's much more difficult.
Yeah, so not knowing who will watch it. So if when you think about posting these videos on social media, which is a way of actively going out online, which is what I'm hearing, is that online is more difficult. So if you have your week ahead and you're going to be planning what you're going to do, and you think, I want to post something on social media, yeah, so what do you notice? What happens, Regina, for you at that moment when you going to
often
decide to post?
I feel, especially now, my goal for this year is coming up with videos. And I know I will do that, but whenever I tried to start a video, it's like a fear coming up, like ascending my spine, like a wave of warm but unpleasant at the same time, unpleasant energy.
So some unpleasant energy, yeah, coming up your spine, yeah.
Pounding heart. Often even my hands get tense and it's difficult to write the lines, or
so some tension in your hands, yeah. So all of these symptoms coming, and what do you notice, when you're just about to post, you have these body reactions happening. Is there something coming up? So is there a belief that's limiting you here that you notice? What is it around this level of distress that comes up? And you mentioned earlier that you said it's a nightmare. I heard you say the word nightmare, and something around this not standing out, being modest. So
yeah, sometimes even comes up, is it safe?
Is it safe
to stand out?
Okay.
Is it safe to stand out?
So maybe it's not safe to stand out. It's not safe to stand out. It's not safe to be visible. Would you say yes? So let's just have a check in here. So you have this pounding heart and this tension, this experience in your spine. So what was your level of distress on a scale of 0 to 10, Regina, with these symptoms when you're just about to post?
When I now go in a situation, it's a 7.
It's a 7. Okay. And so let's explore that a bit more. So there's something about it's not safe to stand out. And yes, so there's a lack of safety. So something is coming here about a lack of safety. So how true is that belief, that it's not safe to stand out?
In this moment, it feels like it's very true. It's around 8, something like that.
So it's not safe to stand out.
And it's my ritual just to, when it's supposed, I just press the bottom send. But it's really willpower I used there.
So there's some willpower that has to send that. There's a forcing. It sounds like there's a forcing part which is pushing you to press that button. But a large part of you, as you're experiencing your body now, with the pounding heart, the tension is feeling unsafe. Yeah. So just check in. Who is giving you this message that it's not safe to stand out?
Yeah, I hear various voices from my mother's side. It's my grandmother. But it's also my mother, my father, I think the entire family. Modesty was always important, and
so
and
modesty,
lying low, a little bit lying low, I would say.
Yeah, lying low. And modesty is important. Yeah.
And as a child, I was really temperamental, and I remember being cut back and be calmer and behave and don't be so lively. Perhaps there's even there a connection, but
Don't be so lively. So that could be another belief that you have, that it's not okay to be lively. But you said you hear these various voices, so just take a moment just to check in. So where do you perceive these voices? Is it around you? So what do you hear? These various voices saying, you mentioned your grandmother and your mother and your family.
I hear from the left-hand side, it's a little bit above me.
Yes.
And I see an image of my grandmother sitting in her chair next to the oven.
So you have this image of his great-grandmother sitting in her chair next to the oven. And then you also have some voices from the left-hand side. So which in this moment is the strongest? Which is the most important here?
I think it's the voice.
So you hear this voice from your left-hand side. And what is this voice saying?
When I try to translate it, I would be ashamed if I had to stand out, something like that.
Yeah, I would be ashamed if I had to stand out. Yeah.
It's not proper.
It's not proper to stand out. Okay. And whose voice is this? Saying that I would be ashamed if I stand out? This voice on your left? Whose voice is this? Because you mentioned your great-grandmother and also...
Yeah, I assign it to her, but actually I was very small when she died. I'm not sure.
Okay, so this voice...
If she is really the one...
Yes, okay. This voice on my left saying I would be ashamed if I have to stand out. Yes?
Yeah.
Just checking I have the right translation. Could
Yeah,
you say the words also aloud in German, just to speak the words?
Yeah.
Can you? Yes. What is the translation in German for I would be ashamed if I have to stand out?
Ich hätte mich geniert, mich so hervorzutun.
Thank you. Okay. So I have a sentence for you. I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in this voice.
Bound up in this voice.
On my left.
On my left.
Saying I would be ashamed if I have to stand out.
Saying I would have been ashamed if I had to stand out.
And I take it to the right place in myself.
And I take it to the right place in myself.
Just let the words work. Okay. I remove all non-me energy.
I remove all non-me energy.
Connected to this voice on my left.
Connected to this voice on my left.
Saying I would be ashamed if I have to stand out.
Saying I would be ashamed if I had to stand out.
From all of my cells.
From all of my cells.
All of my bodies and my personal space.
All of my bodies and my personal space.
And I send it to where it truly belongs.
And I send it to where it truly belongs.
Just let the words do the work. I retrieve all my energy.
I retrieve all my energy.
Bound up in this voice on my left. Sorry,
Bound
bound
up.
up in all my reactions.
Bound up in all my reactions.
To this voice on my left.
To this voice on my left.
Saying I would be ashamed if I have to stand out.
Saying I would have been ashamed if I had to have to stand out.
And I take it to the right place in myself.
And I take it to the right place in myself.
In the here and now.
In the here and now.
As an adult woman.
As an adult woman.
In the service of my mission in this life.
In the service of my mission in this life.
Just let the words do the work. Drink some water. So what happens with that voice and the words, I would be ashamed if I have to stand out?
The voice started to fade with the first sentence. But what was more dramatic was the energy transfer. This uncomfortable warm energy that somehow crawled up my spine went down again and left my body. Pounding of the heart is still there. It's a little bit like being breathless and
take a breath, take a breath. Just right now in the here and now, just take a breath and take some more water. And how true is that statement that came from this voice to your left? I would be ashamed if I had to stand out.
No, it's not true. I felt it especially with the last sentence when you added in the service of my mission. I know my mission is to support people, to guide people. And in order to do that, I need to reach out. No, it's not true.
What's not true? What's
that I need to be ashamed of?
Yes, it's not
going
true.
out. It's not true.
Yeah, so in the service of your mission?
In the service of my mission, it's great, it's okay.
Okay, so I have a sentence for you.
Yeah.
I attune all my systems.
I attune all my systems.
All my systems.
All my systems.
To this new awareness.
To this new awareness.
And just let the words work. What happens?
The pounding of the heart stops. It will take a little bit of time, but I already realize it's being out of breath is better.
So the breathlessness is settling. So let's go back to where we started at the beginning when we had our conversation, and you were saying that, yeah, there are so many coaches out there. What do I have to offer? And the sort of sense of like it's not safe for me to stand out. What happens?
It's not safe. There is not really a reaction to that.
Okay. What new? What will be different now?
I do it for a purpose. I do it because I have a mission to support people.
Yes.
And that's really clear. It's clear, that's connected.
That's clear. Yeah. So there may be some way that you can remind yourself of connecting in with that mission. As a coach, I might suggest something to represent that or to write it, but to find a way just or every day to connect into your heart space around connecting to your mission. And yeah, so let's fast forward to where are we now? Tuesday. So maybe on Thursday or before the end of the week, there's a need to, to post something on social media.
Yeah. I planned a post for tomorrow because I promised Willem to make a post about his new book.
Okay,
because I congratulated him on that, and he said,
yeah. So
bring it out in the open. And I promised, and I will do it tomorrow. Yeah.
So what happens if you're just posting, going to post that? So imagine being at your desk tomorrow, whatever time, and you're sitting posting the post. What happens?
It's great because I really loved reading his book, and it helped me a lot. And so that's a gesture I really look forward to.
Yeah, so there's an anonymous audience there, but because you're recommending Willem, that's okay. What about you writing a post about your business and putting that out? What happens?
Yeah, I planned another one for Friday, reporting about how I work on my beliefs, and I will take part of our session today, and that's also okay because it's my testimonial for logosynthesis.
Okay, and that post is going out anonymously because you
sure. It's always via LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn as much.
And that seems to be okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, it's okay.
Oh, well, thank you. I want to thank you very much, Regina, for offering to work today. It's been a great service to me, to support me in delivering a demo, but also I think everyone who's been here, I've seen a few comments, people were on the bus, meaning they were participating. So sometimes what we bring is absolutely what someone else wants to bring as well. So it's very courageous to sit in the seat of client here. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you so much for accompanying me. And I have to say and encourage others, I feel your energy, even I don't see you, but I feel your energy. It's often much easier to do it with an audience. That's my experience, because somehow I feel the energy of the other people, and that helps to really do the next step or the next move.
That's great. Okay, so thank you so much, Regina.
Thank you, Heather.
Great. And so Alan, I think whoever is hosting this session, any comments in the chat? We just have a few minutes. I'm aware of the schedule, and I know we have something else booked in. But any feedbacks, comments? Monica, do you want to pick anything out from the chat, or any
let me
comments,
just
reflections?
see. Oh, sorry.
And that was just
this
one
is-
way to work with beliefs, because we heard the sound of the we heard the voice of the beliefs.
Many
There are other
thank
ways.
yous in the chat.
Yeah, there are other ways, and I think if you look at Willem's book, he will talk about the 3 different ways of working with beliefs. So we can you can explore that as well.
Yeah. We actually have a lot of thank yous and great session, not really questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to thank you as well. It was really a great piece of work about beliefs. We have seen so many beliefs coming up, and I think we all know that we are full of beliefs, not
Yes.
only limiting ones, of course. We have a lot of good beliefs that help us going through our life, doing our mission, and that is very nice. But of course, all the limiting beliefs we can get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah. One by one, slice by slice.
Exactly.
As we say, as Willem would say, it's a piece of the artichoke at a time. And there may be more around this, but a piece at a time. So just shared a piece today. So thank you, everybody, for participating and listening.